They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, we all have thousands and thousands of photographs in our phones that we never get to share with anybody these days. So I figured, why not share them? Welcome to the photo dump. This is Riley's Reptiles. Alrighty, so kicking off this week's episode, first photo here is one of my favorite crocodilians I've ever had the pleasure of working with. This was Ling, the Chinese alligator. This is alligator sinensis. This was from back when I was a reptile keeper at the Santa Barbara Zoo. Part of my morning routine would consist of going around, opening all the tortoise yards, checking on gators, making sure pools were as they should be. And some of my favorite mornings, especially in the summer, would be going over and stopping by Ling's pool. And she would bellow at me and kind of sing her song in the morning. Feeding her during the warmer months was a ton of fun because she was very responsive and very intelligent and responded to a lot of target training, station training, recall training, all of the above. She was such a blessing to work with. She has since passed on, but I'll never forget her. She's a great gator. All right, next up is this amazing animal who I didn't realize how much I would have a connection with, Madagascar hognoses, until later on. But this was my first introduction to this species. And yes, she is an oddly fully melanistic animal with a little bit of white speckling on her belly. She came to the zoo back in Santa Barbara because she was confiscation, clearly a non-native animal found wandering around in a field a few counties north. And she came to the zoo and ended up being a wonderful education ambassador. Just a doll to work with, a wonderful animal. I had never seen one all black like that. I've never seen one like that since. And she was a wonderful ambassador for snakes for people who came to the zoo. I was very fond of her and would take her out a lot. So she got to meet a lot of the people in Santa Barbara and definitely changed a lot of minds about snakes and was just a wonderful snake to work with. So really cool considering I worked with them many years later. So this is another nostalgic old photo from many, many years ago back in Santa Barbara at the zoo. This water monitor was affectionately named RJ after me after I ended up leaving the zoo because I facilitated his rescue from a rain culvert on the side of the freeway in Santa Barbara in the middle of December one year. Got him checked out by our vet staff and we brought him in as an education animal and ultimately a display animal. And he ended up being a wonderful, wonderful lizard even after I left. And he has since passed away. He aged on and had a lot of arthritic issues and things like that, as many of us do as we get older. But just a blessing to not only rescue him, but put him into such a wonderful facility where he was not only loved and received the best medical care and food, but was also an ambassador for his species. So he was a great education animal, a wonderful display animal. He'll be forever missed, and he was one of my first water monitor experiences. This was a very, very wonderful Craigslist find, an amazing Brazilian rainbow boa back in Santa Barbara that was being kept in way too small of an enclosure, being fed massive meals, and in turn was a very large individual, but gorgeous. And I brought her home, got her cleaned up, and ended up being a wonderful breeder for me for many, many years. Her first year breeding for me when she was just about 12 pounds because of all the food she had at that initial owner. She ended up throwing the biggest litter I've ever heard of with 34 live babies and one stillborn. Dave Calling over at Rainbows R Us, that was his record for the largest as well. So as far as I know, that's as big as it gets. She was definitely well over 6 feet. I've since moved on from rainbow boas. She's still alive and well, but resides at a different residence. She produced a lot of wonderful babies for me over almost a decade, and just an impressive animal. And last but not least, my beautiful Azteca girl here, this wonderful Psychotic Exotics jungle carpet python that was produced by a good friend and somebody I consider a mentor, Mr. Todd Dyer. Wonderful jungle, first jungle that I ever acquired and raised up and bred multiple times. She produced beautiful animals for me. Since she's passed on, I've acquired a direct sister of hers from the same litter. But this girl really, really anchored in a love for jungles with me in a way that no other animals could. Carpet pythons are definitely a love for me across the board, but this animal was very special, and she'll be forever missed, but that's how life goes. We've got a lot of beautiful jungles from her and carrying on her legacy, so on we go. Love your jungles. Thank you for taking this photographic journey down memory lane with me. Join me next week for some more. This is Riley's Reptiles. You've just been watching The Photo Dump.